Good morning, and welcome to Who Am I? That program that asks the question every day, Who am I? Who am I? And indeed, it is my intention to ask this question with humility, not hubris. Who am I? Who am I? With an inquisitive mind, eager to know, expecting it will be good. I do believe that we are good, and one of the reasons I believe that is I actually believe there is nothing but good. Now, I am tempted to stop this recording and scrap it and start again because I'm going to have offended a whole lot of people who have run across a whole lot of wickedness in their lives. And they say, well, there certainly is bad people. Well, I will agree that there are people being bad, really bad. I will agree with that, but I do not agree that there are bad people. I do not think that there is such a thing. But there are people who suffer from a certain condition. And it's sort of the seeds of it lie in the human condition. We all have a propensity to suffer from this form of blindness. Paul Levy calls it Wetiko. It's a kind of psychic blindness. It's a configuration of the consciousness that is, Abraham would call it not being in alignment. And I sort of like that one, not being in alignment, because it's not understanding the configuration of which you are. You don't understand that you are a binary system. You're two systems trying to work together. It's like you have twin carburetors that need to be tuned to one another. But one of the things is that the source energy aspect of the source energy carburetor, you can't tune that one. That one just is what it is, and what it's reflecting is absolute reality across the board. So you're not going to budge it. It knows where the atoms are. It knows how everything is moving. It knows the reality of things beyond the fluff and imaginings that our human mind can achieve. It knows what's real. So you aren't going to tune that one to yourself. Sometimes you wish you could. That's when Abraham says, Abraham, if you'd just come over here where I am, I wouldn't feel so bad. But they're not coming. They're staying in the positive. They know what they know. And that's an aspect of you, too. Actually, what I think that Abraham and Esther Hicks are demonstrating for us very clearly and very beautifully and purely for the last 35 plus years is this binary state that we are, this absolute knowing, this connection to all things, your inner being, your source mind, I have a way of delineating those sort of binary aspects. You appear to be a duality system of some sort, and then you can argue with that. Oh, we're not actually that, because everything is one. There is one, and all of that is true. But the way that it appears that we are configured, now just give me 1 second, because I go through this right first thing in the morning. Why do I not know where this slide is? Hold on. Found it. So the way I delineate or describe how I see the duality system that we are all somehow embedded in, because it is my intention in this show, this is why I'm driven to do it, I enjoy it anyway, to try to describe reality. The way I see it, of course, is just the way I see it. I don't mean to subtract anything that you've got going on in your head. And as a matter of fact, I couldn't subtract it anyway. There is no subtraction in this world of addition. You can add everything up. but you can't really understand the world by subtracting other things out. Now, you can focus in different directions, but once you've seen something, even if you don't focus over there, it's in your bag, it's in your lexicon. You have to add it in now. Or at least that's the way I see it, because that's what I do. I add everything up when I don't know what to do with something. I get a fact, something comes across the table, I experience or observe something that makes me scratch my head a little bit. I don't know what to do with it. You just throw it in. There's this room where everything goes. It's sort of like the room of requirement. Everything goes there, and you don't know where it goes, but you just throw it in there. Actually, what will happen is over time, things that relate to one another within that room will start to organize themselves. They'll start to um, line up with each other. That which is like unto itself gets drawn together. And so things start organizing in the field around. And then at some point, some of that stuff comes out of that room, which is, I don't know where this goes, so it's going in the room where everything goes. You can also start putting it into other places in your mind. When it starts organizing with everything else, you're like, oh, I know what to do with that now. I have an idea of how I feel about that. Before, I didn't know how to feel about that. I didn't believe it. I didn't not believe it. Something just happened. I had to put it somewhere. Anyway, that's just me. So let's get back to the question. Who am I? And how do I really mean this question? And before I get too much farther into the game, I do want to set my intentions. I want the audience, the world, my fellow human beings to understand that I'm not trying to start anything in a way other than in our minds, better understanding, clearer understanding. It is only my desire to assist and inspire others to their own alignment. Alignment is the name of the game. There's none of us are bad, but some of us are horribly misaligned, have really been getting it wrong as to how reality really is coming into being. Now, you may be getting enormous amounts of feedback affirming what you believe. And that's because whatever you believe, you think all the time, and whatever you think all the time has a tremendous amount of power as far as what is drawing to itself cooperative components along that spirit line. In other words, what I'm saying is whatever you're believing, the law of attraction is confirming to you in its way, making you believe every word of what you say. Now, to be fair, this is a part of my story and my maintaining what I believe is that in a very profound and significant way that would be helpful if we understood better, every single one of us is right about something profound. All the time. There is a rightness within us at all times, no matter how we're behaving, no matter how wickedly we are behaving. There is a rightness about us, and um, oh, this is just my thing. I don't want to get in trouble for anything I say. I want to have complete, grace in this space to say what comes to me. I don't mean any harm ever. I never, ever, ever. I mean no harm. My desire is only to cooperate with the highest number of human beings and biological beings of other sorts, non-human beings, that I can. That's my goal, is to co-create and cooperate with. Find the win-win spot for as many beings as I can possibly fit under this umbrella of thought that we come into this space every day. I say every day, and it's most every day. Every once in a while I don't hit it, and I don't want to blame myself for it. I'm in the process of sort of changing the time of day that I'm doing this, and it really worked spectacularly the first day, but the second day, life and schedules got in the way, and I got interrupted, and it just really didn't work out, so I didn't publish. So here I am, sort of a different time. It's morning, like it has always been, but it's a little later. I have been going 4:30. It's just closer to 6:30. To be fair, it was closer to 7. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The question is, who am I? Who am I? And I mean this in the broadest sense and in the humblest sense. And sort of I am humble on the one hand, as in my mind is open, my heart is open. I accept the viewpoint of every single human being that walketh upon the planet, because everyone's viewpoint is just shedding light on the total grid. That's what they're doing. Each and every one of us is shedding light on the spot that we inhabit. Now, we may be kind of missing the mark and shedding our light in, funny places, something that we're not recognizing. We may be playing out a lot of step 1 and not allowing a lot of step 2, which is source answering. And step 3 is actually you allowing that to come into your experience, to be in a state where you expect good things. You can't actually be in that really blessed, clicking it mode where good things are just happening to you, happening to you, happening to you, happening to you, if you don't expect it. If you can't get yourself into a state of expecting that to happen, then it can't happen. Now, one of the reasons you don't expect it to happen is because it hasn't been happening, perhaps, in your life. And so, of course, you aren't expecting good things to happen because good things aren't happening. Maybe that's what's happening. But if you would but understand why it's happening, that you are creating your own reality by the way you are looking, what you're looking at, how you are interpreting what you're looking at, what you're focusing on, how you're focusing on it, and how you feel about the whole thing. If you're feeling bad, 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 then you're taking out of alignment impulses and acting on them over and over again, and you have caused it, mm, you're just out of step. You're misunderstanding the signals that you are getting from the universe. Because I want to tell you right now, we actually abide in a morphogenetic field of infinite potential. Anything can happen. If you can imagine it, if you can believe it, if you can find a way to get what you desire, what you believe, what you think, and what you feel all into the same place. Human beings are an amazing, amazing, amazing species, and this planet, the biofield of this planet, and the morphogenetic field of the divine quantum matrix itself is so malleable. It's like it's so. Actually, this brings me back to something that I started and didn't finish. My version of our duality, my way of putting it, of describing the binary aspects of our existence, of our experience. We are a binary system. We are the formless. We are this formless quantum field. That's what we're made of. Everything is made of these Planck oscillators that are sort of jiggling, vibrating. They're coming into reality across the 0 point energy field, across the event horizon of the great singularity. It is on the one hand understandable, and yet on the other hand is mind-boggling. It's eye-popping. It's hard to wrap your head around, but you can. We are this formless field, and we are also the form that it comes into. And how is it coming into being? How we have a certain amount of control on the one hand, and other aspects we have no control. You are a tiny, tiny blip in an enormous morphogenetic field that is, by the way, organizing and patterning and expressing this divine um, wholeness, this divine allness. Everyone is expressing it in their own way from their unique position on the grid. Each and every one of them shedding their own little light on this little thing that they're looking at. Now, if you're in a constant state of negative, then a lot of what you're looking at, in a way, is beside the point, literally beside the point. However, the pattern of your expression is still exemplifying, it's still showing everyone how it works when you get out of alignment, and how serious it gets when you're out of alignment. Carl Jung would have called this condition that we get into, that all human beings are susceptible to. And actually, we all fall into it in little ways, um, until we learn better, until we learn how better not to. Although we are always susceptible, no matter how good we are at not falling into this, we are always susceptible. It is what Abraham would call step one moments, when you bumble into a spot of negative emotion. What is your negative emotion? What does it mean? Well, you have an aspect within you, a vibrational beingness of you, an aspect of you that is literally always positive, eager, yes, joyful, connected to everything and everyone else. This aspect of you is having the party. It's at the party where everyone is, where you are too. You are there too. But it's just this really positive aspect of you that's there. And if your human mind is occupying a very negative place all the time, then you can't join that party. If you could find your own happy thought, you would go, oh, this is where I am. I knew I was somewhere. So anyway, this binary system, you're the formless quantum field, you are this morphogenetic field, one with everything else, mostly vibrational in your nature. Now, well, all completely vibrational. Now, your physical body is vibrational too, but it's a denser vibration. It's more of the stuff glommed together, collected, um, actual physical matter. But we are talking about how matter comes into being. And at the same time that we're going to discuss how matter comes into being, we're going to come to understand what gravity is. And in our deep, true, wise understanding of what it is, we're going to understand how to pull our transportation systems up off of the surface of the planet. We don't need to coat the planet in asphalt and concrete, because the only way we can navigate is by land-based vehicles, because that's not true. It's just not true. And we don't have to do it by way of the way we do it with airplanes either. We can do it better than that. We can do it safer than that. And we might even be able to do it quite a bit faster than that. But the way to go is to better understand the field that we are a part of, that we are co-creating with, that we abide within, that our biotechnological systems, who we are as meat-based biotechnology. I also, you're going to come to know that I personally believe that we have been genetically modified. And I believe that there is evidence in our genome. I'm going to point to that at some point. I haven't for the last couple of days, but at some point you will come to know that that's what I believe. You don't have to believe that, and uh, I don't know. You may have your reasons, and I wouldn't want to discourage anybody from following what they believe is true, following their star. And actually, you need to line up your. We're going to get back to this. The Speaking of what our emotions mean and our binary system that we are this twin carburetor kind of thing, these two minds. One of them is always positive. That's who you really are. That you is connected to all things, knows what this party really is about, because this part of you knows where all the atoms really are, really, really are, and how this is happening in a very real way across the quantum field. Every Planck time unit, which is a very small time unit, I could find the formula showing you what the Planck unit is. There's 3 Planck units actually. There's a mass and a time and a distance. And all of them relate to the way you get those is you take a photon going at the speed of light and have it cross the distance of its own diameter. And the time that it takes and the distance that it goes, how far that is, and then somehow what bit of mass that represents. I don't know. Those are all Planck units. And you are made of those. They are the pixelations of the universe, the pixels of the universe. And that's what we're all made of, and that's what we're all co-creating with. And there's another thing about this, and I still haven't finished my list of binary. Okay, formless form. You are that eternal, because those Plancks are here forever. That morphogenetic field never, ever, 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 ever quits becoming things. And how does it become things? It becomes things on the wings of what you want, of your desire. And so the actual answer to this conundrum that we are all in is quit looking so hard at what we actually have, because you're not allowing the morphogenetic field to change. What you want to look more at, now you have to kind of acknowledge what we've got in order, because that's the starting point, that's where we are. So you got to start there, but don't focus there. Now what you want to look at from it's like, okay, got it. What do we want out of that? And more often find yourself focusing upon what we want, so that we can bring that into being instead of focusing on what we've got that we don't like, because that just makes us continue to create more of that. We don't think that's the way it works, but that's the way it works. Sorry. You cannot face reality quite as much as some people do. And they do it virtuously. They do it because they think that that's responsible, and they think that that's what is the most efficient way to get from where I am to where I want to be. And it isn't exactly. It turns out that the shortest distance between 2 points is not a straight line. It's we're all standing on the same point to begin with. And so just go to the point that we all share, and then you've got access to all of that information too. What happens is, now this is how it works. All across the field, space-time is co-jiggling. The frequencies are interfering with one another across the universe, across the board. And through that interference pattern, all information is being transferred across everywhere. Everyone is, think of it this way. Every point is uploading its information to the whole, and the information of the wholeness is downloading to every eeny weeny bit. And how it's doing it is through the jiggle of space-time. It's through this universal interference pattern. And Nassim will tell you, Nassim Haramein will describe to you in mathematics and physics language how the data is transferring across the scales, because the scales have a great deal to do with how the information is screening, so that you aren't bombarded with so much information that you can't differentiate any of it, because there's that much information coming across at all times. I mean, you have the information of every single star, galaxy, planet, atom, molecule, occurrence anywhere in all of the universe. And that's way too much to make any sense of if there wasn't some sort of hierarchy of how it's being organized, how the information is distributing across the scales, across time and space and all that. But in any case, all the information of you is uploading to the wholeness, and all of the allness, all of the information of all the universe is downloading back to you. You are the whole universe. You possess all the information of all the universe. And the really cool thing is everyone and everything does. We live in a holographic universe, and the meaning of that is profound. It's profound. You actually possess, right where you stand, if you would understand how it works, you possess all the information that you need to know in order to autonomously organize your dream come true, your happily ever after, what it is that you want. And you can do it in a way that absolutely co-creates with the rest of the universe in a magnificently benign and mutually supportive and mutually synergistic and in a co-blessed manner, if you would. Well, I still haven't finished my binary list. I've got all these different ways that I'm saying the same thing. We're the formless and the form, the eternal and the expirational. We are the quantum field and your physical body at the same time. You are both of those things. You are the macro. And of course you are the micro. The micro is where most of us live all the time, not realizing that we are also the macro. And that's a really important thing, because that macro aspect of you is relentlessly cheerful, relentlessly hopeful, relentlessly loving and kind and eager and interested, even if you aren't. Even if you are being pessimistic and cranky and you are in a habit of noticing how, when you think dark thoughts, how things just turn out like shit for you. You're just all wrapped up in noticing that. And so but you need to understand what it means, because you cannot escape your positive self. And that's actually why you feel so bad, as you are determinedly looking in a negative direction and noticing bad things happening in your life. And so your life is kind of coming out poorly. You are the macro and the micro. You are the timeless and the temporal being very much seemingly bound in time. I am conducting this particular program at X time of such and such a day, and to be fair, it's March 3rd, 2024, and right now it happens to be 7:39 a.m. You are vibrational and your conventional self. You are the quantum and the conventional, sort of the Newtonian and the Einsteinian, those two. You are the allness and the you-ness. You're holographic. We are holographic. We all possess the same set of information. And that set of information is the entire freaking, it's not just the universe, it's actually the multiverse. Because all of everything springs out of, now, this part of it I can't prove, and this is just my visualization of it. I see it as I see this divine autonomy that we all possess as being our individuated, our particular spin, because there's an infinitude of spins that I believe somehow mysteriously are springing forth from the same initial, original, primordial spin. Somehow we all go back to the same point. When you go to the center of the center of the center of your own spin, somehow you find the point that we all share, that place where we all are, that place where you don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to go to a different location to find the place where everyone else is, where everything else is, where it's all known. It's universal consciousness, and every single one of us has access to this place and has seen this place, even if it's just a flash. Like, oh yeah, I've been here, I know this place. And then your mind takes you into a dark place, and now you're not there anymore. But you are there. It's just you are this binary self. You are this, on the one hand, your inner being is pure, positive, joyful, eager, interested, loving, kind, connected energy. It's connected to all things. It knows what's really going on, and you can't get away from it. It is relentlessly so. And so my advice to myself is, get into alignment with that, because there's nothing you can do about it. Actually, what it means is that every time I go to a negative place, it doesn't feel good because my real self isn't there. My real self is not in that negative place. My real self is loving and kind and joyful and interested, and you know what? It really helps to know that every other human being, no matter how rotten they are, is actually like that too. Now, they may be so out of alignment that they're scary and dangerous, and so you have to love them and understand them from a wiser distance, unless you are a trained professional and know how to, just like if you're a professional person who can tame, if you're a horse whisperer, if you can tame a horse, you might be more likely to go in and try to talk to a pissed off, unbroken wild stallion. But if you don't know how to do that, then don't do that. Don't walk right up to the crazy ass mob boss, who has at his fingertips the means to liquidate you, put you in concrete boots, and drop you to the bottom of the Hudson River or whatever. What I'm saying is I'm not saying that evil does not exist. I'm not saying that wickedness does not exist. I'm saying that the configuration of it is different than what we have been thinking, and we cannot punish it into better behavior. We cannot punish each other into better behavior. We can't threaten each other into better behavior. That amounts to the old funny, and the beatings will continue until morale improves. And you can see right through that. Morale never improves through beatings. And that's kind of the situation we're looking at. We need to soothe each other. We need to understand each other. But, it's not your responsibility to fix or change anybody. However, it is helpful if you would find your own alignment, and then when inspired, to lend a hand here and there. And actually, the true example of your own self thriving in an authentic way, because you have claimed your own divine autonomy, that individuation that is you, that when you step into your own center and man it properly, or woman it properly, to human it properly, man it, I mean, get in there and work the You get into your own center. It's sort of like, get behind the wheel of your car and start pointing in the direction you want to go. Quit, putting your nose in everybody else's business. Quit trying to grasp and cling to conditions you can't change because you don't have any control over that. You aren't taking the control over what you do have control of. And that is, drum roll please, you have control over your own vibrational offering unto the universe. That which you output, you have control over that. And what difference does that make, you say? I want to control how the conditions around me are. Well, that'll help you navigate into better conditions. It will help assist those around you to organize themselves to better conditions as your example of your alignment helps them, assists them into finding their own alignment, because that's the only way this is going to work. Everyone has to autonomously find their way to their own alignment. And it will have a positive effect on the field around you, but you can't keep score of that because you don't have control of that. What you have control of is your own vibrational offering. And a number of things will start happening when you start taking control of your vibrational offering, taking control of your being responsible for how you are feeling and what's happening to you. Because the more out of whack you are, the more out of whack are the impulses that you are receiving from the universe. And if you're acting on them, then out of whack things are starting to happen in your life. As Abraham says, there's two ways of knowing how you're doing. One is how things are going, how things are generally going well for you in a general way. Then you're vibrationally, you're doing pretty well. If things aren't going very well, then vibrationally you're probably a little bit off. And then the second way that you can tell how you are doing vibrationally is how you feel. How you feeling? You feeling like crap? Well, you're not doing all that well vibrationally then, are you? So we're going to come to actually it's been several days, literally, I think, since I showed this slide, which is interesting because sometimes it's a slide I never get off of. I do need to replace. I need to get better slides, but one thing at a time. I work on this every day. It will be what it will be. So this is my illustration of, this is your two minds, right? This is the source mind that knows everything. It's connected to all things. It's vibrational. It's reading that vibrational, I call it the allness channel. It's coming in across all of your protons. It's coming in across all of your atomic structure through your black hole protons, each and every proton being a teeny weeny little vortex of ether spinning, very, very dense, very, very, it mathematically behaves precisely like a black hole with its density, the singularity, and in the Planck field of every one of your protons is represented in the encoded in the Planck field of every one of your protons is all the information of all the rest of the protons in all of the universe. Now, let me find that slot, that note, so that I can put it away. I don't need to have that one cluttering. I got that one in. All right. Anyway, so these are your two minds. The one sees everything, actually, but it's looking mostly in the area that you're concerned with, because even though it's really interesting that we possess the information of all the rest of the planets and everything going on in the universe, the way the data screens, we are looking more closely at what's more immediately around us because that concerns us more. So you have your source energy mind, who is always positive, always positive. So when you take a negative or small thought, when you take a thought that your inner being knows full well is not true, you take a thought like, I have no resources, I'm all alone, I don't matter, I'm bad. Any of those thoughts. Or if you take those thoughts about someone else, your inner being knows that that's not true. That thought does not resonate with the thoughts that your inner being is thinking. And the difference in those two frequencies is what makes that terrible feeling in your solar plexus that you call negative emotion. Now, some of that negative emotion maybe you think feels good. If you're all depressed and you get mad at somebody, sometimes that getting mad feels good. It's hard not to get mad because getting mad feels good. And actually, when getting mad feels good, you probably should get mad. But be careful because you don't want to act through your negative emotions. But you don't want to blame yourself for your negative emotions either. They come to you very honestly. It has to do with the way you are designed, with how you are designed to operate. So I promised that just by your vibrational output, you have all the power that you need to be able to orchestrate whatever you want in your life. Now, you can't do it perhaps as specifically as you want to because the universe wants to be included. You, you can't actually do it autonomously. The beautiful life that you're going to end up creating is being co-created by a lot of us, all of us working together. We all want to find that win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win position. That's the optimal position. I have a note about that. It's a pithy little line somebody gave me a few days ago. I really like it. Those at the top collaborate. Those at the bottom compete. And that's actually an interesting little factoid because how you believe the universe is has an enormous effect on how the universe plays out for you. So ask yourself this: which one of these paradigms do you primarily believe in? Now, if you have just been looking at present on the ground conditions, you're all balled up in reality, facing reality again. If that's the kind of personality that you are, fixated on staring at the exact configuration of the manifestation in that's the problem. You study it at one point in time, but you aren't necessarily good at updating it as it changes, and so you get lost in some moment in the past and think you're facing reality, and it's really the reality of 1982 or something like that. So which one of these which one of these paradigms do you believe most in? Do you believe that it is a universe of um, competition, as Darwin would describe it as? Is it a universe, a scenario of competition, zero sum game? There's winners and there's losers. Uh, it's a finite pie. You look at the state of the configuration, you're like, that's the size of the pie. It's a finite pie where there's X number of us. We're all splitting up this pie. The more of us there are, the less pie there is for any one of us. Is that what you believe? Zero sum game, finite pie, paradigm of scarcity, winners and losers, he who dies with the most toys wins. Is that what you believe? Or um, do you believe that it is a cooperative universe? And the name of the game is cooperation. He who cooperates with the most other beings wins. How about that? Do you believe? Well, the universe actually has infinite potential. It's an infinite and expanding pie. The more pie you imagine, the more pie there is. But you have to believe it, and you have to, and you can't be deluding yourself. That's the other thing. Don't believe anything that doesn't make sense. And so you eventually get to the place where you both believe it and it makes sense. You're like, oh, it really is an infinite pie. And this is how it is. It's because we are a morphogenetic field of absolute infinite potential. But there is such a thing as momentum. And there are momentums that are in play, and you have to go from where you are and move in the direction of where you want to be the way that it actually moves. You have to, but there's a lot of leeway there because it is a really cool, infinitely morphable morphogenetic field. Oh, the rest of the so this universe is actually designed for everyone to be able to get what they want, and that's actually key to the whole thing. Everyone has to be more focused upon what they want with a faith and an expectation that the universe has the capability of granting them what they want. It helps your belief when you understand how the universe actually works. Then you can get to a place where you actually do have faith. Have faith in this allness that we are all a part of, this morphogenetic field that we are all dreaming into place. We're dreaming this into place way more than we are doing this. We are human beings, we are not human doings. I know we are not human dreamings either, but so that was probably the wrong place to put that one in. But we actually live in a fabulous universe of way more potential than we are taking advantage of as we, in negative emotion, stare at the things that we've got that we don't like. And I have a reason why the, the basis of my intention as I do this program every day is to connect some dots. I ask the question, who am I? Who am I? Who am I as a species? Who am I as a human being? Who am I as an individual? Who am I? Today we've been talking, who am I as a biotechnology? How does this binary system that I am as a human being, how does it work? How does this binary system that I am as the quantum field, how does that work? How do those two things play together? To help me understand my human emotions, help me understand how to step forward in my life in the most positive and effective way that I can manage. And then there's another aspect to it too. How does this collectively, our collective understanding of who we are as this quantum field, how does that help us achieve the Holy Grail as a species, which is us getting off of fossil fuel and onto a clean, free, easy, stable, universal, dependable energy source that each and every one of us, in an egalitarian way, can wield to our own. We need to get to the place where we know who we are before the universe will grant us this great boon, this ability to play and interplay with all of the rest of the universe. You are not granted that until you have found your peace, until you have understood who you really are. When we go out into the universe, it actually isn't going to be in a Star Trek kind of way. When you watch those Star Trek episodes, every one of them is assuming this sort of aggressive, competitive territoriality that we right now are experiencing on planet Earth, mostly because we don't understand who we really are and what our emotional guidance system is trying to tell us. Uh, this is our emotional guidance scale. This is a map of the momentum of both strong negative emotion, and then going up from strong negative emotion, going up the scale till you kind of have not much, if any, kind of momentum of any sort going on. You're resting in somewhere between pessimism and boredom, maybe contentment, and then now you're in the realm of positive momentum. Another way to look at it is this: it's all about your state of being, because it's all about what impulses you are receiving from the rest of the universe, through your inner being. What impulses are you receiving to act? What thoughts are dropping into your mind? You are not your thoughts are not your own. They belong to everybody in a way. Now they are your own. There's kind of a, well, I don't want to get too esoteric. Here, the four general states of being: specific negative, general positive, specific positive. The holy grail of this, that's the second time in a couple of minutes I've used the word holy grail. I better uh, get a grip on that, or it's going to get annoying. Um, is specific positive. When you find yourself in a moment where you are looking at the physical world in a specific way and you are in a positive state, that's where you want to be now. Put on the gas. Think about it more. Whatever, build the momentum. That's putting on the gas. That's putting on the gas. And that builds momentum. If you are in any kind of a negative state and you are looking at a specific, you want to put on the brakes there. And what puts on the brakes is to go general. So if you're in a specific negative, go general. Someplace like life sucks. That's a really good general one that everybody can kind of agree with. There are aspects of being alive that are inconvenient and uncomfortable and scary. you know there really are. Even when you understand how we're designed, there are places where it's uncomfortable and scary and inconvenient to be a human being, and it's mysterious being a human being. You aren't born with a user's manual, how this actually works, a user's manual sitting on the coffee table saying, this is what your emotions mean, this is how this is what you're made of, this is how you need to be, this is what the rules are. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite. It seems like every single person has been trained in a completely different way to believe a completely different set of, this is what reality is, and this is what the rules are, and this is, what's going to happen to you if you go against the rules, and da da da. Look this way, look that way, this is the meaning. Da, da. Everybody is taught something different. And so it's tricky being a human being, isn't it? I think it's tricky being a human being. But when you start to understand how we are really designed, and then start practicing, you know, living that way. What do I mean by living that way? Well, you got to care about how you feel. You got to know that how you feel is your primary indication that you have somehow found your way. Well, how you feel, if you feel positive, that means you have somehow found your way into alignment with the resonant frequencies of your inner being. And that's all you need to do, because your inner being is kind of thinking generally, because there are, in general, many, 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 many ways that you could pick specifically that would be in alignment with what your inner being knows and is and believes. But your inner being is not necessarily thinking specifically. Your inner being is thinking specifically about the things that you're thinking about, because generally what it's thinking about is everything: how your blood is moving through your veins, how the wind is blowing, what molecules surround you, what the velocity and temperature and directionality of everything. It's looking at reality, and there's so much of that. It's just knowing that it's all good. And it's just knowing that we're all in on this together. And it's just knowing that we can't help but expand, that everything really is working out for us. But it may be doing it in a way that you're keeping score in a really specific place, and when you don't see it coming about in that specific way, then that's pissing you off, and that is stopping you from being able to see that things really are working out for you, really are working out for us. But you need to be looking in the direction of the solution, and that's what I try to do here in this program, because I believe that I can see our solution to just a lot of general problems that human beings think that we have that we don't know how to get around. And that brings me to the part of my program where I always like to list what are the main things, what are the main step one issues of humanity as a species? What are our problems? Well, sixth mass extinction upon the face of planet Earth, planeticide. We are killing ourselves. We are killing the planet. We are systematically snipping the threads of the web of life that envelops this beautiful, blessed, miraculous being called Gaia, this planet Earth that we are part of, that we are co-creating with, that we are magnificently dancing with. That is a problem worth addressing. However, how do you address that problem? Because you turn to a problem that big, and it is so big and so sucky that it immediately makes you feel crappy, and now you're depressed, now you're in negative emotion, now you are no longer in resonance with what your inner being knows, which is, first of all, that it really is okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's going to be okay. And what's going to make it okay is we're going to come to the place where we finally understand who we are. And we will start operating optimally on this planet. We will start being effective and cooperatively co-beneficial instead of how are we going to do that with our carbon footprint so heavy? Well, easy. We're going to get off fossil fuels. And what's going to get us off fossil fuels is our understanding that, first of all, who knew we can get off fossil fuels? We always thought that the reason that we weren't off fossil fuels was because we couldn't. People are out there honestly trying to get us off fossil fuels, and collectively, honestly, things that the reason it's not happening is because nobody's come up with ideas that work. This is not true, people. This is not true. And while that might, make the conspiracy theorist within your beating heart leap, we got to get past that too, because the bigger truth going on from than the conspiracy theory is that actually, when you boil it all the way down to the morphogenetic field of humanity itself, there is no us and them. There is only us. And every single crime that has ever been committed upon the face of planet Earth, we have committed it. They did not commit it. We did. And when you realize that, but you realize it from a position of seeing how blessed the situation actually is, how blind we have been, how much potential there really is in this situation to get out of it, we really can get out of this. We really, really can get out of this. And when we finally, honestly start pursuing, and we are doing it, pursuing the Holy Grail, sorry, had to say it again, of free, clean energy from the source of all energy. That's what's going to get us out of it. Now, there's a lot of stopgap things that are going to help bridge where we are to where we're going to be. And that's a lot of devices that we can create that are over unity devices in general, which we have been taught. If you have been traditionally educated, you have been taught that over unity devices they break the laws of physics. It's just not possible to do that. And if you believe that that is true, then that's what's true for you. But interestingly enough, if you don't think that that's what's true, plenty of over unity devices have been created. And there's a movie, I bought it because I didn't realize, but I'm glad that I supported the people who made that movie. I bought it. If you can't afford it, you can go to YouTube. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to post this with this posting today. I'm going to post the link to the movie, The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. It is a documentary series documenting the history of over unity devices and how they have been ruthlessly suppressed over the last more than 100 years. The suppression started actually, I kind of see the starting of it with Nikola Tesla, the first genius who recognized that the universe was indeed vibrational. That's what it is. We are vibrational beings in a vibrational universe. And if you want to understand this world, you need to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And when J.P. Morgan, who was Tesla's financial backer, because Tesla didn't have any money, he was a poor Hungarian, whatever, uh, genius. When J.P. Morgan realized that Tesla was trying to develop systems of communication and energy that were free for everyone, he shut him down. He withdrew his financial backing, and Tesla ended up dying impoverished and discredited. He's become a mighty name now because what he was saying, he was onto something. He was on to something with his Tesla tower and everything. The universe is not what we have been. We sort of live in a matrix in the sense that the paradigm that we're all living is not actually authentic. It's not authentic. It's been guided and distorted by powers that be that want to keep the existing paradigm in place because they themselves are sitting pretty right now on top of all of the power, all of the wealth, hundreds of trillions of dollars worth of fossil fuels of all sorts, and centralized energy production when it doesn't have to be centralized. And as soon as we realize that and throw our collective will and thought and research into the technologies that will decentralize our power systems, giving power back to all the people, then now all of a sudden we don't have to have centralized grids. Our carbon footprint absolutely disappears because nobody's burning any fossil fuels, and all the sky's clear, and all the waters become pure again, and um, every village has the ability to grow its own food and interact with its own ecosystem in its own authentic, blessed way. You no longer have to rope into the International Monetary Fund to get your share of the petrodollars to give you access to the 21st century um, energy systems that we have going now. It's going to change everything. It is going to change everything. It will reverse the sixth mass extinction. I never finished the litany of woes, the expanding deserts, garbage island, war that just doesn't seem to go away. We just passed the second anniversary of the frickin' war in Ukraine. That needs to stop, people. And you know what? What's going on in the Middle East doesn't look like it's getting any better lately either. We need to understand who we are. We need to understand that there is room and resources for everyone in abundant plentifulness. But we need to understand who we are so that we can work with the system to create more and more and to co create more and more abundance. instead of believing in this paradigm of scarcity that as we believe in it, it proves itself to be true. But if we would believe in that state of abundance and cooperation, I'll be darned, that's true too. As a matter of fact, it's probably more true than the other one, although we're making the other one true. The truth is that we live smack dab in the middle of an infinitely um, the potential is infinite in this morphogenetic field that we actually are a part of, who we are, and how matter and mass and ourselves and gravity actually comes into being, how we create our own reality, each and every one of us. It's just the steps of creation, 1, 2, 3. Step 1, contrast causes me to ask for more than what I have. Step 2, source answers. It's there. What's there? It's actually a vibration is created, that if I would but find this vibration, source would reveal to me all the inspiration, all the thoughts, all the ideas, all the impulses to act, all the impulses to connect, to move, to think, would all sort of just come to me. We're not making this happen. We're allowing this greater pattern of well-being and connectedness and knowingness and expansion and more for all of us to play out in whatever way we want it to play out. Because on the one hand, this goodness is happening, but we get to choose specifically how it happens. That's the beauty of this situation. We are free. We do have divine autonomy. We have some people in their religion, they make a great deal of the free agency that a human being possesses. We are free to choose which way we go. However, we are not free to choose how we are designed. Ultimately, that's not true either. Ultimately, we can morph ourselves into whatever we want to be. But right now, we are what we are, and a human being is a binary system. And you can't get away from your positive self. It relentlessly follows you wherever you go. You take that small thought in your specific self looking at, you take that small thought and you get that hit of negative emotion. The reason that is because you are twin carburetors, and one of them, you can't stop that one from being positive. So when you go negative, that frequency difference makes you feel bad. You call that negative emotion. Quit thinking that your negative emotion is because you just witnessed something that you don't like. That's true. That's a duh. That's a duh. But you don't necessarily have the power to control that condition. You do have the power to control your response to the condition. And believe me, when you see the bigger picture, when you use seeing the bigger picture as your reason for not feeling bad because you see something that you don't like, it's not that you're putting your head in the sand. It's not that you don't care. I care so much about the beings on this planet that for a while in my life, I had to absolutely shut all my feelings down. I could not look at the devastation that we perpetrate at all times upon the innocent, beautiful, blessed, non-human and human beings on this planet right now. It is just awful. It's awful, awful, awful. And you can glance over there for just a second, and then you better take your eyes off of it, because turns out you don't have the power to intervene farther than your immediate field of influence. You can see where that immediate field of influence is. Now, it turns out the true influence that you have is your ability to inspire others to their alignment. And in them being inspired to their alignment, they will inspire yet others to their alignment. And through this cascading co-inspiration of each other to our co-alignment, that's how we're going to find our way back to planetary peace, back to, if we ever had it, peace on earth, goodwill towards men, this this place that we can find on planet Earth where we achieve our collective vortex that we actually do have. Every one of us has an individual and very specific vortex of creation. Well, humanity has a very specific well, you could think of it as a general vortex of creation too. I'll tell you what's in the vortex of humanity: freedom, abundance, joy, fun, meaning, clarity, security, warmth, peace, energy, that kind of thing. That's in our vortex. That's what we want. And if it absolutely is in our future that we have we are going to get where we want to be. And the next big step in where we want to be is understanding ourselves as source energy and understanding what source energy really is, so that we can build the devices that will tap us directly into source energy, and we can cease and desist forevermore in this nonsense of fossil fuel burning. We don't need to do it. But we have built our systems right now so that we are more and more and more dependent on fossil fuels. Well, we can start to build the bridges out of this hole we have dug ourselves. And the way to do it is not to push against fossil fuel, but just to joyfully and eagerly embrace over unity devices, the recognition that they actually can exist. Everybody get out there and start building them for us. And let's resuscitate all the ones that have already been built that we could possibly recreate. Let's get behind human beings, any human beings on this planet who have created anything that they claim is an over unity device. There's some guy on the Thrive 2 movie. Go look at that movie too. There's some guy in Africa, some sweet guy in Africa, who built a device. I'd have no idea whether that man is still alive or whether he has been deep sixed along with his device. But it was a device looked about the size of a gas pump. Could produce enough energy to run about 300 homes. And it was running on a steady state frequency that was just out there he was tuned into this frequency, and this frequency was just humming his little device, and it was outputting electricity enough to run 300 homes without any more input into the situation. Devices like that, they are possible. We don't have to be running our engines on gasoline, on full strength gasoline. There have been devices developed where tweaks done on a regular internal combustion engine so that it can run on mostly water with a little bit of oil to keep the works from rusting and seizing up. All of these devices have been suppressed. And so you got to believe in them. They are true. There's also the very holiest of holy grails would be tapping into the 0 point energy field itself. That's really where we're going. So check out the movie. I'm going to post the link on this recording, which I'm going to post here in a little bit as soon as I'm done with my main points. Let's see, I'm going to look at, I've covered most of the slides that the notes that I've got going on. What's my point? Okay, what's my point? Well, we need to transition from fossil fuels. That's probably my biggest point. And we're going, and we can do it. And furthermore, an understanding of who we are in reference to source energy will bring us individually more joyful, satisfying lives. That's basically my thesis statement. Now, I'm gonna quote Nassim Haramein here in a second, because he has this wonderful quote. It has to do with, as you go into the center of your own being, what you are literally doing, you are locking into the information fields of larger and larger morphogenetic fields of information. They're black holes of it's black holes all the way up and all the way down. And how he put it was this, and this kind of gives you a picture. When you integrate yourself as a biological being, you connect with the morphogenetic field of the planet. When you integrate yourself at the atomic level, you connect with the solar system. At the level of the proton, you integrate with the galaxy. And when you get all the way down to the Planck, you integrate, you connect with the universe. And literally, this is how it is. This is somehow, in a mysterious and delightful way, this is the literal truth of our existence. Now, do evil beings still exist? Absolutely. And what is the issue there? They are suffering from what Paul Levy calls Wetiko and what Carl Jung would have called authoritarian psychosis. And also he called it things like autonomous complexes, these almost independent beings who are disconnected from your source mind. If they're off on their own little angry thing, they are not, their information is not consciously connected to the allness. At what you recognize these people, and the problem is misalignment. It's misunderstandings. It's not knowing who you are. So how about this for an example? So we are glorious, eternal beings connected to all of the information of all that is. We are mighty. We are invincible. We are what are the words that I want to use? Because what I'm saying is, what happens when someone who has been trained with very superstitious ideas, very incorrect about the actual how reality comes into being, how matter becomes matter, how this rolling manifestation is actually moving. They are taught some superstitious nonsense, and then they run into this place of universal consciousness. What happens is they think they're the only ones there. And then they get these delusions of grandeur. Delusions of grandeur, when actually the truth of our grandeur is even greater than the delusions that this person is having. But the delusions are very individual, because the delusion is that I'm there and no one else is. God has chosen me, and God has not chosen anybody else, and so you got to listen to me. And people can get really off the rails as they want to control and rule. They want to be kings, they want to be emperors, they want to be, whatever, dictators, authoritarian dictators, they want to be cult leaders, all kinds of stuff. It's because there's something profoundly true about what they do believe about themselves that is so big and so great and so blessed and so connected to God. The problem is that they can't see that that's true for everyone else too. Everyone has access to universal consciousness. The clue is in the name, universal consciousness. It's really a thing. It's a thing. This allness. I call it the Almighty. It's that place where everything is. The it's God, you know? And you have access to this place when you can achieve the frequencies that this place operates in, which is love and peace and connectedness and joy and knowing and all of that stuff. That's how come we always attribute those characteristics to God, because that's the frequencies that. Anyway, so let's see. Where are we left? Where are we left? What did I not explain? There's a lot of stuff I didn't explain. I didn't go over any of the mathematics of the paper. Nassim Haramein and a couple of more difficult to pronounce names. I'm gonna put this abstract up because for one thing it has their names, and I hate to keep saying Nassim's name and not say anybody else's. Cyprian. See, I hate to even say that name because I don't know that that's how it's pronounced. I might have just butchered the poor guy's name. I'm so sorry. Olivier is probably the next one because it's probably not Olivier, or is it Oliver? Let me look. It appears to be Olivier. Anyway, the paper is The Origin of Mass and the Nature of Gravity. And if we would put our minds in this direction, knowing that we can conquer gravity. As a matter of fact, gravity has been conquered, both by the UFOs that people keep pretending don't exist, or the blackest of black ops of our own government who have saved all the really good information for themselves. But the problem is probably they do not understand the nature of themselves. Because if they truly understood the nature of themselves and the holographic nature of the entire universe and this allness and this oneness and this blessed quantum divine matrix that we all abide within, they wouldn't be black ops, they would be white ops. And maybe they are waiting to be white ops, I don't know. I'm not going to take the negative position. I'm not going to say a negative position doesn't exist. Of course it does. But I'm not taking it because our purely vibrational inner being, pure positive energy, in touch with all things and knowing of all things aspect of ourselves, does not take that position, and it knows better than I do, so I'm not going to take the negative position. I do understand that human beings can be very naughty, and we have a lot of problems on planet Earth that need to be solved. But I believe with all my heart that a deeper understanding of who am I in reference to source energy will bring us both to a place where individually each one of us can operate more effectively in our own specific individual lives as we understand the meaning of our emotions. We quit taking ourselves so damn seriously and pay attention to how we feel, care about feeling good, and knowing that feeling good is the most important thing, because only from that place of feeling good are we taking accurate impulses from our inner being to act. If you're feeling negative emotion, don't beat yourself up for it. Feel that negative emotion. Get into, just don't act. Sit on your hands. Don't You're not getting good impulses to act in the world. So just wait for it to know that who you really are is good, is joy, is happy, is eager, is interested, is safe, is all those things. So the other thing is that I believe from the bottom of my heart that there is a way to tap into better sources of energy. There is no real reason why we are still on fossil fuels. We could have been transitioning away from them back in the late 1900s, late 19th century, the late 1800s. We could have spent most of the 20th century not in the paradigm of fossil fuels. We could have transitioned away already. But I also believe that the reason that we didn't is because we need to understand who we are. That is a necessary component for us to plug into source energy. We need to understand source energy. And we need to understand ourselves as source energy. That's what I believe. And I believe it in a really matter-of-fact kind of way. I don't want to get religious and freaky about it. And I also want everyone to know that this is just my point of view. And if you're the kind of person who tries to input the point of view of others because you've realized that it's really interesting to input the point of view of others, it's sort of like, the old story of the old men and the elephant. And all of them are right and all of them are wrong. They're blind men. They aren't just old men. They're blind men and the elephant. Nobody can see. They're all just kind of touching this great big thing and they're trying to interpret what it is. And the one standing by the ear says, "Oh, an elephant is just like a sail." And the one it's just standing at its side, "No, it's like a wall." Another one's feeling the leg going, "No, it's like a tree." Another one's got a hold of the tail. "It's like a rope. An elephant is like a rope." And another one's standing at the trunk going, "No, it's like a snake. An elephant is like a snake." None of them are wrong, but all of them are they've only got a piece of the information. And if you really want to know what the elephant really is, you have to input every one of them. And then from your own point of view, you put it all together and you go, huh, it's all of these things and probably more, you know? And that's sort of what the meaning of reality is like, what the meaning of God and the meaning of truth and the meaning of who you are and everything. Life, life, um, how is it put in Douglas Adams' life? The truth and everything. That's not what it is. The answer is 42 in that book. And then you realize that you kind of lost track of what the question was. So, anyway, who am I? I ask this question humbly every day. Who am I? Where did I come from? How am I designed? How do I get what I want in this world? What is the rules of the way this morphogenetic field morphs? Well, one of the rules is that that's what it does. It morphs. It doesn't stay the same. It moves. It changes. It goes from one thing to the next. And how that works, it's what you are looking at, the spirit of what you are looking at, how you are looking at things. That's how you're moving. That's where you're going. That's why you can't look the Gorgon straight in the face, because that turns you into stone. It freezes you. You don't know how to move when you put evil right in the center of the aperture of your focus. You've got to put good into the center of the aperture of your focus, because that's the direction you're moving. Anyway, I'm going to stop, I think, for the day. I don't think I'm going to add too much more. I'm not going to talk about this much mathematically. I don't think I'm going to talk about this, my theories about why I believe that we are genetically modified, because I do believe that we are. I think you can see a tweak on chromosome number 2 that implies um, pretty clearly, from my point of view, that we are indeed genetically modified. I'm kind of thinking about what is the last slide that I want to leave this on, as I leave us with a final note. It is my prayer that I leave with every show, that I close every show with. I want us to remember that we all create our own unique reality within this one common one that we all share. We are dreaming this common reality into place. We are dreaming it into place. Let's learn how it works, how it really works, so that we can stop nightmaring it into place instead. And until next time, and I hope that's tomorrow, may the source be with you. Amen.